Hey there, VC. Mick back here, this time with the 2026 punk vinyl tag. And let's get it underway with the last punk record that I bought in 2025. And this is an all Australian version of the punk vinyl tag. And what a way to start with the Saints and their recently released 4-song 12-inch Live Nights in Venice. This dates back to 2024, the Sunday night gig in Brisbane. I attended the Saturday night gig, and there we go. It's on classic red vinyl. So what you do have here is the Reformed Saints featuring the always fantastic Mark Arm from Mudhoney. The first punk record I played in 2026, and that was to get the year underway, and it was for a poser reason. So the poser reason is I was comparing sound quality between a number of different versions of this album. So let's start off with the original version of Board's Negative Waves. This is part AC/DC, part Ramones, part classic Australian punk. Now this one's on the Dog Meat label, which looks something like that on the custom label, and a label I like so much in the past that I bought the t-shirt, Dog Meat. Now, what I was comparing it to was to this version here, which is the German Glitterhouse version. And for completeness, we'll show you what the label looks like there. It's just the board symbol with negative waves there. And what I was also comparing it with was with this gatefold. Negative waves you have again. This one's on Bang Records out of Spain. There's the inner sleeve. You didn't get one of those before, did you? No. And actually came with an inner sleeve, not just the gatefold. And it came with an insert. Love that flyer there. There they are playing with various luminaries, and another custom label. Looks something like that, and of course it's on white vinyl. Certainly got my gear in the right direction. Okay, the most ferocious, no compromise punk release for 2025. Well, in Australia, I reckon that was this band, Vampire. Now, with Vampire, not only do you get that ferocious looking bat there on the cover, but the album, well, the 7-inch itself is also ferocious in that it's in the shape of a bat. These edges are quite ferocious and quite pointy. So you do have to be careful with it, but I don't think you get more ferocious than a bat, and you get the anarchy symbol as well, so that's pretty ferocious. It's on the Winter Garden label, which specialises in lathe cut editions in Australia. Not only are they fantastic records, there's a Crow one, there's a LOTION Lotion one, but there's some really interesting music on them. But also this whole release by its nature is a bit tricky to deal with, and you can see as I struggle to get it back into its inner sleeve, you have to be careful because obviously that can rip up all your other records. Pretty ferocious. Okay, next up we have your dirtiest, meanest, and in this case drunkest album of 2025, and you can't get any more drunker than the Cosmic Psychos with I Like Beer. And we get Macca there sharing his fantastic physique, proving that he likes beer, undoubt. A couple of key tracks on this is I Like Beer, 10 Can Trip, and I Really, Really Like Beer, which is a reprise. And then we have Macca and Ross on their bike, having a bit of fun as they cruise through Ross's farm. Mastered by Mikey Young, as you would expect. And just to prove it is the drunkest release of 2025. Comes on piss-coloured vinyl. For those who aren't Australian, piss is the Australian slang term for alcohol, and in particular beer. So getting on the piss means you're having some beer. Now the next release is a bit of a poser release as well, and what we're looking at here is the celibate rifles with the turgid miasma of existence. Yeah, pretty grim stuff, isn't it? 1986 Australian punk, and in the non-image suburban style, which would end up being the style that was followed by my friends and I. So basically, board shorts, band t-shirt, and double pluggers, or if you're feeling a bit ritzy, you might have wore some skate shoes. Okay, now just to prove I am a poser, this is what the album looked like in its posh version from Phantom Records. Yes, you got the extra outer, and it comes with a additional 7-inch. And just for completeness, it's on the hot label, which looks something like that. Edie's the key track here. A bit like Bored in their sound, in that they sort of mix a punk feel with some classic Australian sounds, and a celibate rifle is a play on the Sex Pistols. Okay, Proto-punk album. And let's go to 1975 and the Coloured Balls with Heavy Metal Kid. Like elsewhere in the world, Australian bands were mixing their version of 70s heavy metal, but in Australia it came with a heap of blues rock and a subculture called the Sharpies, and this band, the Coloured Balls, were a favourite of the Sharpies, featuring Lobby Lloyd, straight out of Longreach in the central west of Queensland. Now, not only was this blues, but it was a little bit psychedelic, and it did have plenty of ball power. An album that led to the times, and the Sharpies were quite a dangerous, violent crowd, a bit like the way punks were perceived in a way, for the 70s version on the EMI label. So it's a label you'll get to see a little bit more or further down the track. Show the 26 punk record on your shelf. Okay, for my all Australians, I have this one. It is a blood duster, and you can tell by the name these guys are something about creating a ruckus. Song titles are Fuck You Scene Boy, Porn Store, Stiffy, Pissing Contest, Another Slacked Ass, Aussie Band, Big Fat Ass. You got it. These guys are about controversy. Great grindy hardcore. Half the fun is the controversy, and it comes with some clear vinyl. Okay, next one up, 5-song EP, and I can never go past this. And this is the Eastern Dark, And this EP, Long Live the New Flesh, featuring Julie Loves Johnny, which is a song about love, but does mention the Ramones. Of course, with a song like Julie Loves Johnny, it would be. These guys were Ramone fanatics, and features James Darrah, who passed away, and on the great Aussie label Waterfront. How iconic is that? You get the coat hanger, you get the Sydney Tower, you also get the McDonald's symbol. Scary, huh? Okay, next one, and I'm trying not to be a poser here, but first up we'll talk about something you got from a gig, and what a better way to get something from a gig when supporting a local band. And here's a local Brisbane band on RIP Productions, and obviously in Australia vinyl is very expensive to print, so one of the ways you can support a local band and bring back some debris from a gig is by buying one of their demo cassettes. This one here is my favourite Brisbane punk band currently, and thoroughly recommended. Okay, show a late cut or a flexing. Okay, so what we hear is we have Fear and Loathing. They're an Adelaide punk band that existed for the 80s, 90s, and I think the 2000s. They had a release on Waterfront, but here's the flex with being a bit of a poser. Not only is this a lathe cut, it's a double lathe cut. Like a lot of Australian bands, these guys were influenced by, I guess, the drunk side of punk, but most notably the Stooges. This came in some horribly limited edition, like 30, but it is a key band in the Australian punk vernacular, and Harry Butler, the guitarist in this band, ran DNA fanzine, which was and is, I guess, Australia's longest running fanzine. Total legend of the scene and a supporter of lots of local independent fresh music. So next one is show your support for a local punk scene, and there's nothing more than a local punk scene than these guys, and that's Eddie Current and the Suppression Ring, and here's their 7-inch from 2025 on the Cool Death label. Now, I don't know if this is support or oppose or record collector fetishism, but we got the black vinyl version, we got another black vinyl version, but in a red sleeve, a blue sleeve, a green sleeve, and a yellow sleeve. Sure, I supported the band, but I'm pretty sure I supported my fetishism as well. Well, you gotta do something, don't you? Okay, next one is show a punk boot, and this one's a key punk boot, and it's in the context of this band. And this one I'm showing is a punk band called The Victims, and this is recorded at Hernando's Hideaway in Perth in 1978 and released on 1977 records. Now, this band are an Australian punk pioneering band and have a couple of classic 7-inches that go for thousands. But to fully understand their set, you need this release because it has some tracks that aren't available on their 7-inches. So that's the EP, sorry, that's the album inner label, custom label, but this plays into my next one about the lost soul. And the lost soul I want to talk about is no other than James Baker. James Baker was a member of the Hoodoo Gurus, the Scientists, the Suburban, drummed in a heap of other bands and helped out people, as well as being a solo artist. So this is the Victims compile of their release songs, and the perfect companion to the bootleg I showed before. But ultimately, we'd like to thank James Baker for his contribution to Australian music. Custom labels on in the red. We have a fantastic track listing, but needs to be considered for the Victims in the context of there's a heap of other tracks available. Okay, show a song that sounds like it wants to start a revolution. Well, here's one that actually kind of did. And we have the Nick the Strictber 12-inch by The Birthday Party, recorded in January 81 at AAV Studios in Melbourne. This is the point where The Birthday Party became dangerous. So dangerous when you see the video, you see a young Nick and friends running through a trash dump, lighting fires, causing chaos. This was the start of The Birthday Party becoming something quite inventive and saying goodbye to the boys next door's new waveism. Now, why this 12-inch, this song started a revolution, is that later on in 81, they would record their classic Release the Bats in London, and that record would go on to heavily inform the Batcave scene and the goth scene in general. But nothing started without this riot first. And watch the video on YouTube and you can see the torch and the revolution that was lit, and on the Missing Link label. Okay, next one up. Show a punk record showing World War II imagery. Now, I've got a couple over here that show some US imagery in the form of the New Race releases. However, I thought I'd go for something a bit more artful. And this time it is the Hits album, Hakiko Omori. Now, Hits are a Brisbane band. This is in a Detroit rock and roll style. There's your inner sleeve there. You'll notice the tank on the front cover, and it's looking quite lonely there, lost away in a watery grave. Hikikomori, the term in Japanese, refers to, I guess, the modern hermit spending a time alone where they don't interact with the outside world, and that's the reflective nature of that cover. So not your typical World War II homage, but certainly featuring some imagery on the Conquest of Noise label. Okay, show a record, punk record cover stuff with every cliche. Okay, this is quite a brutal record, this one. This is a Depression record. So one of the punk record cliches is the mangled cover. On the inside of the gatefold, we have the black and white pasted and photocopy style of 1,000,001 Proto-punk records. On the back cover, we have the black and white inevitable pictures of the punk bands. And this is the band Depression, led by Smear. And this album is a bit of a Melbourne classic, recorded in 1985. It's on Reactor Records, and some of the themes are your standard punk takes on things. We have a song about religion. We have a song about being bored. We have a song about universal product codes. We have a song about no escape from the system. And we have a song about noise. I'll read you a bit. We're just going to stand up here and we're going to play a load of shit. We're just going to stand up here and play a load of crap. We're just going to stand up here like a bunch of fucking wankers and just want to stand up here and blow your eardrums up. We're going to make some noise. I tell you what, it's pretty cliched, isn't it? Anyway, on the Reactor label there we go. Okay, show a record you trust to babysit your plants. Being in Brisbane, coming from the western suburbs, you can't get any more plant babysitting than the Saints. These guys lived and played within a solid 3K radius of where I'm recording this now. The lead song, Stranded, is about being on the local train line late at night. As groundbreaking as this might have seemed, it was quite suburban, and you can tell that by the crease in Ed's slacks, and I'm sure his mother would have made sure she got right for the album cover on the EMI label, and a bit of a first press there. So something that is at home in my environments and would probably help the plants grow from an organic point of view. Now, which punk record would I show to teach the machines how to make music? Okay, well, things I think they could use to make music would be these Black Eye comps. Now, Black Eye was a wacky Australian label that produced many left field dirgy albums, and this features Toe, Grom Grom, Thug, No More Bandicoots, Bush Oysters, Box the Jesuit, term for masturbation, Purple Vulture shit, and Moist. Crazy songs, even crazier song titles. We have songs like RFI for Real Fucking Idiots, etc. on the Great Black Eye label. And there's the label there. But there was also a volume 2, which was the fourth release on Black Eye. And this is the great Leather Donut, featuring Ferryman of the North, A Sexy Dwarf, Salamander Jim, Reno, Dean, and equally as wacky, with a just as wacky inner sleeve. Key one here would be the Ferryman of the North and their classic Naked Men. Members of Blood Loss feature over this, members of Lubricated Goat, the entire Black Eye crew. Show a punk record you'd hand to an alien to explain while humans had lost hope. And there's a couple that I thought of. We could have the depiction of punks here from the Brisbane band The Pineapples from the Dawn of Time. Or we could have went something from the 70s there with Speed Madness and Flying Saucers. But I thought maybe understanding why some punks thought, well, they're not meant for this world. This is Detroit-influenced punk on the Go label. Hopefully we can see that. Features a song called Farewell to the Cosmic Commander. So hopefully that would show we come in peace, the kind of rock and roll that's being played by Australia, and maybe some understanding for their situation. And there's the custom labels for Asteroid B612. Hopefully that would keep them on side and help them understand our diaspora. Poser Fact comes with a bonus 7-inch. Okay, finally, if you start a DIY punk label, what would its name be? Well, I kind of did do that many moons ago, and that's what I went with. The name was Black Band Recordings, and that was named after the classic Brisbane punk song Black Band by the Mystery of Sixes. And this is the, I guess, anarcho-influenced Acid World. Only came out on CD, such was the times. So I guess I answered that question by, well, I've already done one. And ended up with Black Band. That's where I stood in 1993, I think it was. Okay, thanks Timmy's Vinyl Naught for the questions, and if you need to check out some great Australian punk, here's some great things that sort of go throughout the decades around me, so feel free. Talk soon.